Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here, coming at you on December 25th, Christmas Day, because of course I'm making a video on Christmas Day. I don't take days off. You better subscribe. Look at all the work I'm putting in for you. Christmas is an oddly good holiday to be talking about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on, because while Christmas is about the birth of Jesus Christ, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's birthday is also on December 25th. So, in the spirit of the season, let's talk about Justin Trudeau's leadership ratings against the other party leaders. Because yesterday, some absolutely humiliating numbers came out for Trudeau. Trudeau, despite nobody liking him, if you look at the Abacus data approval numbers, he has like a negative 43% approval rating, and he only has about 20 to 22% of Canadians thinking he's doing a good job. But when you poll him against other leaders, Trudeau usually still comes in second place, even though he's far more unpopular than Polyev or Jagmeet Singh are. And that's just a consequence of if you're saying you're voting liberal in the poll and you ask who you prefer to be prime minister, naturally you're going to say Justin Trudeau because, well, you're voting liberal. Even if you don't love the guy, it feels weird to say, I don't want Trudeau to be the PM. But now we just had some numbers come out that even in polls where the Liberals are technically beating the NDP still, where the Liberals are at 23% and the NDP is at 19 or 20, Trudeau is now losing in these polls to Jagmeet Singh, and he is in third place. That is something. Nobody takes Jagmeet Singh seriously, and now people take Justin Trudeau less seriously than his executive assistant because that's what Jagmeet Singh has turned into. He is Justin Trudeau's executive assistant who goes and gets him coffee in the morning and keeps his government afloat. Here's Brian Burgay, and I think he had a great way of putting this. He says, Singh is beating Trudeau in the best PM metric. It's so Trudeauver. And this is a poll from Leger, and it says, in your opinion, which federal party leader would make the best prime minister of Canada? Pierre Poilievre clocks in number one with 31% of people saying that he'd make the best leader. Then Jagmeet Singh way down there at 13%. But even below him, you have Trudeau at 11, Elizabeth May 4, Maxime Bernier 3, another one 5%, and then you get a bunch of don't knows, none of the above. And although it might strike people as odd that Poilievre's only at 31%, there is always kind of this pull inside the Conservative Party that more progressive red Tories, although they might vote conservative, they tend to always be down on the leader. The leader's not doing it right. They should say this, they should say that. I find that conservative leaders tend to get a lot of criticism, but it doesn't make people not want to vote for the party. There's just more open criticism in conservative circles than there are in liberal ones. And again, I've said it so many times, the biggest problem for Justin Trudeau right now is if you do not like Justin Trudeau, which is pretty likely, there is a very slim chance you'll even consider voting for the Liberal Party. The Conservative Party tends to pull quite a bit above where Pierre Poilievre is in terms of his approval rating. The Conservative Party could be at 40%, 43% in the national polls, and Pierre Poilievre's approval rating might be 34, 36, and he's probably only at like a negative of 2 or he's a positive of 1 in terms of his net approval. But the whole point is that you can like conservative policy and you can not like the leader. It's like when O'Toole was leader. Nobody liked him because he was a red Tory hack, but some people would still say they're voting conservative in the polls because, well, they like their local guy or they generally like what the Conservative Party stands for, even though O'Toole was turning it into a watered down mess. It's great that Poilievre's the leader now. But that's how it works for the Conservatives. Same thing with the NDP. Usually, actually, the NDP leader tends to have very good approval ratings, but then the NDP doesn't poll very well nationally because nobody cares about the NDP. But because the NDP is such a non threat in terms of forming government, everyone just assumes the NDP leader is a nice guy and says that they like him, even if you're a very conservative person. But Jagmeet Singh has reversed that in recent years, where because he has been so just subservient to Trudeau, people see them as kind of like the same guy in part. And now Jagmeet Singh actually has a very negative approval rating, even though a couple of years ago he had like a very big positive approval rating because most people just saw him as a harmless doofus. And I guess that's good enough. We don't have the ratings for Elizabeth May's personal approval or Yves Francois Blanchet. but I would see them as being either individuals that people mostly don't have an opinion about, or in the case of Blanchette, probably a very positive approval rating in somewhere like Quebec. But now let's move on to a hypothetical scenario. What if there was a liberal leadership election? What would the Liberal Party do? And this is what is leading me to believe, as crazy as it sounds, you're going to think that Wyatt is on something. I think, and I don't want the Liberals anything good to happen to them in the next year, but it might be worse for the Liberals to actually replace Trudeau than stick with him. They might be in a Kamala Harris situation where to get rid of Justin Trudeau would be to actually lose votes because nobody likes any of the other options. This is the problem of Trudeau, is because he demands so much loyalty from the people in his party becomes very shallow intellectually. Anyone with a personality kind of already left, whether they were a terrible option or maybe an okay one. Like if Bill Morneau was the leader, maybe the Liberal Party would be doing better. He seemed like a likable guy, even if I would disagree with him on policy. He seems like a normal guy. But now the bench is full of people like Chrystia Freeland, Arif Farani. You have, like, I guess, Dominic LeBlanc, Champagne, Melanie Jolie. Like, these people do not inspire anything in your mind at all. Whenever I think of Christy Clark or Chrystia Freeland, I think of the color beige. The color beige with like paint drying in the color beige. They're awful. I feel like I'm being poisoned while I listen to them talk because they are so corporate, wonkish. They are made to appeal to people who think they're smart but don't know anything. But here are the hypothetical polls that lead me to believe that Trudeau still might be a better option for the Liberals to stick with. So, in this poll that came out, it says, in your opinion, who should replace Justin Trudeau as leader of the Liberal Party? And this was done recently. This isn't like a year ago. And this is among Liberal Party voters. This isn't like the general public and people are just picking people they recognize the names of. In theory, these people should have a better idea of who the Liberal Party currently has in stock who could run for leader. Chrystia Freeland gets 21%, Dominic LeBlanc 7%, Carney 7%, Anita Anand 5%, Melanie Jolie 4%, Champagne 2%, Christy Clark 1%, somebody else 7%, I don't know, 46%. That was from Leger on the 22nd. This is embarrassing because really, even Freeland, this is basically just acknowledging that people know who Freeland is. People know the name LeBlanc and Carney, and they kind of know Anand and Jolie. There is no one on this list right now who I believe anyone actually cares about or likes. This just seems like a bunch of people picking who they recognize the name of. There's no star in the Liberal Party at this point. Justin Trudeau was the only star they had, and they decided to bank everything on Trudeau not being terrible at his job. Terrible bet. And now that star of Justin Trudeau is collapsing into a black hole. And like a black hole, it is a sucking void of nothing. And this is inside the sucking void of nothing. It's Chrystia Freeland, Dominic LeBlanc, and all these other faceless people. I am serious when I say run Mark Garrettson at this point. Run Steve McKinnon. Run Nate Erickson Smith. Run somebody interesting. Incompetent, foolish. They might even perform worse than Justin Trudeau. But wouldn't that give a shot of energy into the arm of the Liberal Party, at least if their leader was kind of wild rather than corporate and stupid? Because that's the thing about Chrystia Freeland and all these other people. They talk like they know what they're doing. They're very corporate, buttoned down. They put PowerPoint presentations for everything. They announce to their families that they're going to go they're going to go pick up groceries in memo form. But they're dull people intellectually. They just are very regimented in how they do stuff. And that's why I was never convinced that Mark Carney was going to be a threat to Pierre Poilievre. I'm a conservative, and I actually want the Liberals to run somebody better in this election. I want them to actually run somebody who would put the fear into the Conservatives, because I don't think it's good for the Conservative Party to just beat the Liberals because the Liberals happen to lose. I'm writing an article, and I want to release it at some point, and I actually think I have it right here so I can get the title exactly. I said the title of the article I'm writing is Conservatives Don't Win Elections, They Wait for the Liberals to Lose Them. And I think Polyev could actually beat a competent liberal leader. But the problem is that now we have no competition. And I don't think it's good for the long time competitiveness of the Conservative Party if they don't have a stiff competition to go up to, because it allows people in the background of the party to kind of pick people they like to win nominations and stuff like that. They get to kind of go maybe milder, softer on policies because everyone's going to elect them to a second term easily because they hate the liberals, and the NDP are crazy. And so I'd want it that the liberals are nipping at their heels at least a little bit, so the conservatives know they have to go hardcore on immigration reform, tax reform, spending reform, all these things if they want to keep the middle class, more business focused base on their side. We need to be slashing immigration numbers to 100,000 new PRs per year. And that's not like we aim for 100,000. That is the absolute cap. And that was with a skills test, a means test, a limit on dependence, and a values test. And if we only can find 20,000 people who qualify for some high standards in a given year, that's it. And then we should also be slashing visas by like 80%. I want the Conservative Party to do that. Tell your Conservative MP that is a policy that you are in favor of, or at least name something similar, because we need them to actually make deep, deep reforms. I don't want the Conservatives to just win this next election by birthright, basically, of being the only non-crazy option, and then they don't have to do very much in government to stay decently popular because they're not Trudeau. Anyways, this is turning into a Christmas Day rant. I should stop neglecting my family and get back to them. But if you like this channel, please make sure to subscribe. I have a goal next year in December to have 100,000 subscribers. And so if you want to help me with that, recommend the channel to friends. Really helps me out. Like this video, leave a comment. I always try and scroll through and read comments myself, or comment back to people, or like stuff, whatnot. And if you want to help out, you can also donate to our legal fund. That is linked in the description of the video below, as well as in the comments. And then you can sign up on my website, WyattClaypool.com, if you ever want my local leadership or nomination recommendations. There is one nomination coming up in BC that I have a recommendation for. I'll just say it outright, and then I'll see if there's anyone on my list I have to contact directly to let them know to buy memberships. Buy a federal Conservative membership if you're in the riding of Abbotsford South Langley. I think that Steve Schaefer is a very good candidate for the nomination, so I'd go vote for him. And then I forget what riding Charles Borg is in. I believe it's Malahat, whatever the federal Malahat riding is. Charles Borg is a great Conservative. I'd buy membership and vote for him. He's a veteran. He is an across-the-board Conservative. I really like that guy. And then going into the new year, I'm going to be helping out, not directly, but just I like these people. I really want Wally Daldrich to become the new PC leader in Manitoba. And then I'm encouraging Chris Austin. I don't know the guy. Chris Austin should run to be the new progressive Conservative leader in New Brunswick. Great guy, great all-around Conservative, social Conservative, fiscal Conservative, even used to be the leader of the People's Alliance Party. So he has a good set of experience in the whole grassroots Conservative ecosystem. He actually made a small party work, elected members under a small party, and then he combined with the PCs later on. Anyways, so that's it for me today, guys. Have a good one. Merry Christmas. I'll link, if you weren't able to go to a Christmas Eve church service, I have a link in the description below as well if you want to watch one. I think it's always good for people to have some sort of interaction with an actual, with the actual Christmas story on Christmas, rather than just doing, generic secular festive stuff. But have a good one, everyone.